know you're willing to take me all the way. You got me right here, combustible, and I can't wait to finally explode. The big, big bang, the reason I'm alive. When all the stars collide in this universe inside. The big, big bang. The big, big bang. The big, big bang. Some people like to talk, but I'm into doing what I feel like doing when I'm inspired.
Hi guys, welcome to Passing the Crown with me, Trish Stratters, and I am joined today by a multi-award-winning, fantastic human being on the gay porn scene, we'll say. Something like that, we're about to find out. Welcome, Andy Lee.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome, more than welcome. So, first of all, thanks for being here. Obviously, well, I had a chat with Jay, the plasterer,
Yeah,
a while back. Love Jay, really,
he's a
really
good,
nice
good
guy.
lad. Yeah.
Really, really nice guy. But Jay's mentor, Andy Lee,
Yeah. So, yeah, Jay came to my place to do some plastering, and now he's a full-on porn star.
is that how it happened?
Yeah.
Is that how it was?
Yeah.
Fantastic, great to know. So tell us a little bit about you then. What is it that you're most known for?
So obviously, I'm a straight guy that does gay porn. That's sort of my niche. I'm known for doing stuff with my friends, my straight mates, preferably builders and that sort of thing, and for a gay audience, and they seem to enjoy
They do. Oh, we do.
it.
We all do. I can speak for all of the gays. We love it. So I've been following your career for a long time, like long before kind of it really blew up. So
Yeah.
I would go back to the English lads
Wow,
days,
yeah.
when you were a little twink.
That was 15 years ago.
It was that long ago.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
2010.
And I will tell you the truth, the first ever subscription that I paid for was that just to see you.
Really?
Well, not just you,
I'm
but
honored. I'm honored.
yeah, just to see. But it was around about the time when you could like catch any one of your straight friends on that site,
Yeah,
like because they would just pop up and you'd be like, "Oh my god, that's the guy from Tesco."
yeah.
Like, but you were really prominent on it. Like, you were huge on it. Did you enjoy doing it?
Yeah, it was different for me. Because obviously I never expected it. Some guy just said to me, "Do you want to come and earn some money from this?" And I didn't know anything about the porn industry or anything like that. And I went there just getting the cash in hand. It was just a little side thing for me to go get some money. And I didn't realize that I was going to do really well.
Really well,
Yeah.
really, really well. And I think the other part about it is that you were so likable. Like on sounds really weird to say someone's watching someone having a wank. They're really likable, really nice guy. But you were really, really likable. I think it was very natural for you. I've read your book,
Ooh,
Smelly
there
Kid
we go.
by Andy Lee.
Thank you.
By far one of the best books I've ever read. You know this. I don't need to just say it to you. I've told you this.
I appreciate that.
It was a hard read as well. It was a really, really hard read. There was like I was thinking, I might have to stop reading this now because like I was really just wanting it to be a happy ending, so to speak. No pun intended. Can we go back? So we know what you're known for.
Absolutely, yeah.
Let's go back to the early days.
Yeah.
I feel like I could get really emotional with this because
Mm,
I've read your book and it
yeah.
really is a tough start for you.
Yeah.
So where were you born? Where you were born?
So I was born in Dublin, Ireland. I started my early life in a block of flats called Dorset Street, and I was there till I was around 5 or 6 years old, and we got raided by a vigilante group called the Concerned Parents March, and that was mum's boyfriend was selling drugs, and they evicted us out of the house, and that's sort of where my life sort of evolved from there.
Okay, so just go back a little bit more.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna
Okay.
sugarcoat over anything
Okay.
here. So your mum's boyfriend was a prominent part in your growing up.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for all the right reasons, I don't think. Um, how did you, as such a young kid, how did you find that to just be normal?
So I didn't really know any different. Well, like when we grew up, our mum was our figure in our life, and it was just us kids and her. And she had boyfriends come and go. Never had a dad. She went to the Isle of Man before I was born, got pregnant, came back to Ireland, and that's how I'm here. Yeah, we never really had anything. Like we never really like when I say we were poor, and but I didn't know any different. That was just life for me. I didn't know what it was like to go on holidays. I didn't know what it was like to have anything really. And it was in the early 90s, so there wasn't really a lot around. It was just that. And yeah, so I didn't really know any different of what my life was. I didn't know my life was so bad until I grew up.
Yeah. You had a lot of siblings.
I
A
did,
lot
yeah.
of
There's six of
siblings.
us altogether, and I'm the oldest.
Yes, six siblings. In this small flat.
Yeah.
Growing up. Is that why you are so easy to connect with? Do you think like people just connect with you because you're used to having so many people around you?
Yeah, I think so. I think because I'm very open and honest with everybody. I think I've been through the ring. You know, I feel like I've done and experienced everything that I can share that with people, and people we have the same sort of stories with everybody. I can sort of resonate to everybody's sort of
Yeah.
stories growing up.
So your mum raised you.
Yeah,
You were really close to your mum.
yeah,
I remember in particular your Butlins trip
yeah.
with your mum
We
that
went to
you went
Butlins.
on.
Yeah.
And even in that, even in such a high moment, there was a moment of kind of sorrow again because you got robbed, you
It
know?
just it felt like writing the book and thinking back to my life. It just felt like it never ended.
Yeah.
Like every time we got somewhere, it was taken away.
Yeah.
You know.
I think that's why I struggled reading your book because every time I knew something was going good for you, I was like, here we go. What's going to
Yeah.
happen now?
I know. I
and, I,
know. I know.
and I think that's what it was. But the trip to Butlins with your mum, why was that most special for you?
It was a special time because I think me and her we went together, and it was just me and her, and not all my siblings. And I wasn't used to going on holidays. Now I don't remember how the trip came about. I just know we went there with her and her friends, and um, we went down there. We were having such a great time, and a special memory for me was this bracelet. I really wanted this bracelet. Now it was probably worth nothing. It was £3 back then. It was a little chain link bracelet with an engraving. You could get your name engraved on it, and I wanted that. And Butlins, the whole Butlins trip was great. You know, we swam under the mushrooms and all in Butlins, and we done the dancing on the night, and everything was great. And I think it was all you can eat, all that type of stuff. Um, and then yeah, and then we got broken into in the chalet. We got robbed. Like it was, and then it was shit. You know, then we had to go home early.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, you wrote in your book about it and about how it obviously affected you,
yeah,
um, but you wrote something which I think was quite special about how much it affected your mum because of
yeah,
how she wanted it to be so perfect for you. And, and you'd asked the question, I have been a good boy, haven't I?
yeah,
And that was the only way you were going to get that bracelet. That broke me. That broke me completely. And I think that, when your mum still in the face of it all knew that she was going to get that for you,
yeah,
and I think that's such a poignant moment because I think that was when we saw this element of there's this real person here, there's
yeah,
this real struggle, that it's not always a happy kind of, yeah, we went to Butlins, it was great, nothing went wrong, and we came back and it was fantastic. It was so real and
yeah.
honest. How old were you around when you went to Butlins?
Oh, I
You
think
know?
I was around 9 or 10.
Okay. As you've been very open with as well, your mum died, she passed away.
Yeah,
How old were you when your mum passed away?
12.
Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah,
So I read it, and it wasn't heartbreaking. I don't want to patronize you by saying it
yeah,
was
yeah.
heartbreaking because it happens to so many people.
Absolutely. Yeah, I understand.
Um, I just think that when it happened to you, it was almost the most selfish kind of thing that could happen
Yeah,
to a young person who has been so reliant on their mum. So your mum passed away in a car accident.
yeah.
Do you want to talk us through what happened?
Yeah, so the night before, it was the 10th of September, the year 2000. Um, I was out playing with my friends on the streets. Things was starting to pick up for us. Everything was going good. We had the TV stations, which was nice.
Did you have 4 or 5 channels?
I can't remember, but I just remember we had the cartoons and all. We hadn't had it in a while. We hadn't had like cable TV, so everything
Yeah.
was nice. Um, yeah, things. My mum was starting to. We were getting friends over, and things were starting to pick up for us. Little things, but for us it was a lot. And the night, September the 10th, the night, I remember I was out playing with my friends, and my mum came and said, "Oh, I'm going to a party. I'll see you tomorrow." Give me a kiss, and that was that. Everything was normal. Didn't expect anything. Went to bed that night. We had a babysitter. My mum's friend Sherry was babysitting us, and the next morning I woke up and I feel this stroke in my head, and it was my stepdad John. Now he didn't live with us. You know, he lived on the other side of the city. And I opened my eyes and I was confused. You know, I was 12 years old. I was like, "Why is he here?" and everything was really weird. It was very strange. Like, woke up and I just remember him saying to me, "You're gonna be you need to be a strong boy today." And I was like, "Okay," don't know what was going on. Went downstairs and everything was it was a real eerie feeling. Went downstairs and I seen people in my living room and stuff, and I seen my mum's friend Martina was there as well, and her and Sherry were crying. I was just like, "What's going on? Where's my mum?" Didn't really know what was going on. Then woke my brother and sister up. We got on these bikes. We had like little push bikes, and we cycled across to John's place on the other side of the sea. John brought us in, similar situation to this, tiny little flat. Brought us in, sat us all on a sofa, and he just basically said it like this. He was just like, "Look, your mum went out last night. There was a party. After the party, there was a car crash, and she died." And we were just like, "What?" And like I don't know how you deal with this. How you,
At 12.
yeah, you don't really know how to deal with it. Obviously, I started crying, and my brother and sister, they were more confused. They were just like, "What's going on here?" And then literally, my life, it was so mad. My life literally got flipped upside down from that one sentence. And I don't know how to explain it to people who haven't experienced it, but it wasn't pain. It was more disbelief. You're like, how? Why? Why do we deserve this? Why does this shit keep happening to us? Like, we do nothing wrong. We're the family everyone picks on. Why does this keep happening? And then he just went, he's like, right, I'm going to the pub. He went down to the pub. We sat there and I was just like, my brother and sister were just crying and we were just sitting there like confused. My sister was about 8, my brother was 10, and I was 12. And the radio was on, and then we heard on the radio, yeah, there was a crash in Angor Road in Clondalkin. A 31-year-old female was killed. I was like, wow, this is real. Like, my mum's never coming to get us anymore. Like, and that's that. And then literally everything changed from then. So we couldn't stay with John. He was an alcoholic and he lived in a little flat. We went to stay with his mum for a little bit, and things was just it was just so much drama. There was my mum's family were fighting for custody, and like there was all this, but there was 6 kids and we were all split up. And then there was just loads of drama everywhere. I was in so many different schools, and people just kept taking me and dumping me onto someone else, and that's sort of how life was for me for a little bit. Obviously, that age of my life, I was starting to hit puberty, and my hormones were all over the place. I didn't really know how to deal with not having my mum around and going to these different houses and starting a new life all these different times. Didn't have any friends. Like, my brothers and sisters was my only family, my only friends, and then we were being separated. Um, Going from an all Irish Gaelic school to an English school, an English speaking school where um everything was so far advanced in English. I struggled with everything. Struggled with life in itself. Like, I sort of hated life. Like, why did it treat us like this? What did we do to deserve this? And yeah, for a few years, life was really really shit.
Do you think that going through that, I never want to say to someone, you're glad you went through that, but what I mean by that is with a life experience that's so traumatic, are you glad you experienced it at a younger age than we do at an older age? I think
No.
older, we kind of go, oh my God, that's it, like end
Yeah.
off, game on. When we're younger, I feel like we have no choice but to carry on because we kind of don't know any different.
Yeah. I don't know. I wouldn't wish it upon anyone.
Yeah, of course.
Like, I wish I never had to feel like that at any age. And it
Yeah.
sort of scared me a little bit. And it changed me as a person growing up, because now I find it hard to bond with people and connect with people because I'm always scared of one day having somebody and the next day they're gone, and I feel like that's happened a lot in my life. That's why I live my life very proactive and very positive, where I know tomorrow's not guaranteed. Like, we could have everything today and it could be gone tomorrow. So I really try to push the proactive side to things. Be positive with everybody and hopefully everyone will be positive back, and then just try and live life for today, best way I can.
And it's a great way to live. It really, really is, and it is. It's a testament to you to be able to go through such a traumatic experience at such a young age and not hate the world and
Yeah.
not end up in prison because you want to beat everyone up who's got a mum. You want to beat everyone up who's got money. I
Yeah.
think that's what could have happened. That's not to say you had it easy
No.
even after that. From the book, when I read. I just want to touch on one other thing actually about that, about Brian.
Yeah, my
Uh,
primary school teacher, Brian.
I thought, is there? I finished the book so happily, and then right at the end,
Yeah.
I thought, is there any reason to put this in with killing me? It was killing me reading it. Tell us something about Brian.
Wow. So Brian, growing up, I remember my primary school teacher, Brian. He was a part of my life. He worked for a charity called the St. Vincent de Paul's. He helped people in need in Ireland. And he was just a great man. He just happened to be my primary school teacher, and I have memories of him where he brought me and my brother to the cinema. He brought us water skiing with this youth center, and like he brought us to do these activities and all outside, just to keep us off the street and give us something to do. He brought us to this place called Sunshine House, and Sunshine House is a charitable organization. This big, massive house, like a community center, ran by, I think it was originally ran by the nuns and priests and all years and years ago. But it was where they bring kids in need, would give them a little holiday. We would all go there, stay in different dormitories, and do activities every day, make new friends, and have like a week of joy. It was just pure happiness, and then you would go back to your hell.
Yeah,
But Brian would bring us there, and he would bring us there a couple of times a year, and when only people from my area would only get to go there once a year. But he knew we were in need so much that he would bring us there a couple of times of the year. Now, I remembered Brian a lot. I knew Brian. I don't know why, but I remembered Brian was important in my life. Now, Mum died, and Brian came to see us. I remember him coming to see us just the last time I ever seen him. He came. It was Christmas Eve in, I want to say 2001. He came to see me and my brother, and he dropped us off a Nintendo 64, and he said Happy Christmas, and that was the very last time I ever seen Brian. Um, and I always knew he was important to me, but I never realized how much. Now, when I left Ireland in 2008, I left Ireland and I sort of shut my past off. I literally blocked it out that much that I forgot it. I never wanted to talk about it. My life was so dark in the past. Now I've started this new life in Australia and I've moved to the UK and life is good. And this is my new life. I don't want to go back to Ireland. I want to forget all the negative stuff and build a new happy life. Obviously, I decided to write my book, and I had to go back to Ireland to relive these memories and relive the emotions and stuff, so I could write it properly. Um, and while writing my book, I went to interview some of my aunties, and I said, "Look, I have these memories. Can you give me an adult's perspective on it? Because I was a child then, so these are just my memories. But can you give me a bit more information?" And while we were doing that, my auntie I said, pictures of you from Balbriggan." And there was a picture of me and Brian, and I was like, "Oh, Brian O'Toole, remember him?" And I said, "Is there any way of contacting him?" And she said, "No, she doesn't remember." And it just played on me. I had this one photo. So I searched his name on Google, couldn't find him. Like, he was my primary school teacher from like 30 years ago. Um, couldn't find that to do with him. I found something saying that he'd done like a radio interview years and years ago in the 90s. And then time went on, and then one day I just decided I'm going to look for him again. And I found this Legions of Mary's charity organization where they help women who's been sex trafficked and stuff like that. And he's the leader, the head of it. And I was like, oh my God, I think this is him. So I found his name and details about him and a photo of a group of people. And I couldn't tell if it was him on the side because he looked a lot different. So there was a WhatsApp number. So I WhatsApped the number and I said, "Hi, my name's Andy. I'm looking to try and contact Brian O'Toole." But I wanted to make it that it wasn't like I'm trying to contact him because he nuns me, like that type of thing. Yeah, or he hit me when I was a child. Or
yeah,
anything. Like, I wanted to. I said, "Look, I just want to thank Brian for everything he done for me as a child." Now, and I sent in the photo. I said, "This is me and Brian." And the next morning, I got a message off Brian on WhatsApp, and I was like, "Wow!" So he sent me some voice notes. I'll let you hear them off camera. And I transcribed the voice notes for the book in the end of the book. But I heard these voice notes and it knocked me for six. Like, it really knocked me for six. I wasn't expecting to hear his voice, but when I did hear his voice, I got really emotional and heard him being emotional. And then I had written my book to a certain extent at this stage about my youngest years. And all my life after my mum died, my family have gaslit me. They've always said, "Oh, your life wasn't that bad. You were always happy though. You were always happy. Life wasn't that bad." And I'm like, I lived it. I know this thing. But then I started second guess myself. Well, maybe it was just me as a child. I was just being oversensitive. And then Brian sent me this voice note, and he said, "Look, I have a lot I can tell you." And then he started telling me these stories, and it was basically my book, but in deeper detail. And I was like, "Wow!" And yeah, I realized how important Brian was to me, as he was the male figure in my life, and he was like my guardian angel growing up. So me and Brian stayed in contact, and when I launched my book, we had a book launch party. Brian flew over from the UK and he came to the book launch party.
I love that.
It was such a special day. It was amazing to see him again. It was amazing for him to see my family again. And he stood up. I didn't ask him to. He just stood up and done a speech at the book launch, and it was incredible. So yeah, he's a very, very special man.
I encourage anybody and everybody to read this book, based just on Brian, I guess, as well,
Yeah,
and on how what it means to have somebody unconditionally like there,
yeah.
without us realizing this is somebody
A
that
stranger.
absolutely,
Like, he was my primary school teacher.
yeah,
He didn't have to do anything, but
yeah,
he was there for us my whole life,
yeah,
even up to the age of 37. He's still there now,
yeah,
you know. So
absolutely. And you mentioned earlier about that you find it hard to bond with people or get too close to people. What I found really interesting is from reading your book, the bonds that you do have with people, from so long ago, and Dave as well, who helped you
yeah,
write the book. These bonds that are there, I wonder if you actually do bond, but you bond with the right people, you know.
I feel like that. Yeah, I feel the people who are around me now. I only have a handful of people
Yeah,
around me, and they're people who I will do anything for, and they will do anything
yeah,
for me. You know, we are a family. This is why I say to people who comment on the internet and stuff. They talk about what would you do when about your family finding out about what you do and stuff. And I always tell them, family is not just blood. It's not just DNA. Family are the people who are there for you every single day and who support you and who'll be there for you no matter what. For me, that's true family.
absolutely. I couldn't agree
So,
more. I think people struggle to understand family is just a word.
yeah,
It's not the be all and end all. You talk about John, for the longest time you thought was your dad,
yeah,
and so that in your eyes is your family.
yeah.
And then you realize actually my dad lives in the Isle of Man. And I'm like, man, I'm
He
like,
actually lives in Somerset. Yeah.
yeah, so he lives so far away, and that's my dad. So actually, what does family mean other than
Yeah.
just being a word? I also, when I talk about that, it's a bit of a bittersweet thing because I know you've lost so many of those close bonds, and
Yeah.
we haven't spoke about. I read about your best friend in your book, and when you flew out to Australia, not knowing that you
Yeah.
wasn't going to see him again,
Yeah.
how did that hit you?
Oh wow. That hit me the worst I've ever felt in my life. Like, Clayton wasn't just my best friend, he was my brother. He was literally everything to me. I'm only learning how to speak about him more now. For a very long time I couldn't speak about him. Even like, yeah, yeah, I don't even know what to say.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I saw in your book, I read in your book how much he means to you. So I understand why it's sometimes difficult. I think what I wanted to get from this was for you to realize how important he was in shaping you,
Yeah.
and it's not just about the going to the pub for a beer, when you're feeling down. That's never what it is. It's those times when you were at rock bottom and knowing that was somebody who was truly there for you.
He another stranger. Like, the day I met him, I was homeless. And the very first day I met him, he said, "Come live with me." And we were like, I swear I was like 16, 15, 16, and he said, "Come and live with me." And we were together then every day until I left Australia. I left for Australia. And then, yeah, that was the very last time I ever seen him.
Yeah.
So,
Do you think I know you've struggled now and that, it's a bit catch people off guard, but do you think you've kind of come to terms with coping with that?
no,
No,
definitely
no.
not.
Do you think there's still a lot of work for you to do on that?
Yeah. Writing the book is what brought me to think about it more. Like, I sort of put it in the back of my mind. And when I was writing the book, I realized, so it always fucking, I can't talk about it. I don't know why.
It's okay.
At the end of the book, I wrote the acknowledgements. So the acknowledgements is to just me saying something personal to the people in the book, like my mom and Clayton and stuff. And I spoke to Clayton so many times in my head, And writing the book, it's just, yeah,
Of course.
leave that
You
there.
know, it's almost your love letter to him,
Yeah,
you know, and I think you've done him so much justice in this book, and you've done so well, and you know, he'd be here now, and
yeah.
you'd be there with him, and that's so important. So I just want to, thank you for including that. I really,
No,
really do, because it is so important that we see that in people, that there is good in people out there, even if they're no longer with us. So we'll move on to something a bit more joyful.
yeah, please.
Homelessness.
Oh, great.
So I relate to I was homeless for a while. But I was homeless in a way that you explained in the book. Um, Nobody knew that I was homeless, because I had this pride about me.
Yeah,
That was like, and I was going from like, I remember sleeping in a bus stop once, and then when I was jolted, woke up, I remember just pretending I was waiting for that bus, the first bus to
yeah.
come, rather than somebody think
That you was
I'm sleeping in a bus stop. And when I read that, when you said that, it just hit me so hard, because I thought that does happen. There's so many people that are just wondering, and we expect homelessness
to be what you
to
see on
be
the streets.
on the
Yeah,
street, and stuff like that, and I think that it can happen to so many people. Your strength in getting through that, though, was amazing, because it wasn't just a single bout of homelessness where, it was kind of like, oh, I was on my feet again in a couple of months. You were like living in your mate's car in
yeah,
the garage. You were sleeping in the library. In the internet cafe. You're doing so much of that stuff, and even reading your book where you were saying you were freezing,
yeah,
you were so cold and so hungry. What hit me was when you said, but I'd been so used to being cold and hungry growing up.
yeah,
That's hard to hear for anyone. I think that's the hardest thing to hear from someone. You're used to this pain, but you never once in this book, not once did I read or feel, oh, let's feel sorry for me, please. Can someone
yeah. And
feel
I didn't
sorry
want
for
it to be
me?
like that
And it
because I
isn't.
don't want people to feel sorry for me. Like I'm in a great place now, and yes, growing up, my life was terrible. It really was, but it has shaped me to who I am. And I'm hoping by me writing my book and me being so proactive in the adult industry and me being so proactive as a person that I can help others and I can try and just use my experience to guide others in any way possible. Like I was talking to my friend the other day about being homeless. We flew back to Ireland last month and I was showing him I was talking about the first night of me ever being homeless. Now, nobody ever tells you what to expect. Nobody ever like when you're homeless now, and there's no guidebook, there's no advice, there's no nothing. I was 15 years old and my stepdad said, get out. Um, and that was it. It was about 10 o'clock at night, I want to say. And I was out walking around the streets and I just didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Like you just don't know what to do. So I walked down the streets all that night trying to stay awake. And I was so confused. I was walking around different areas of the town trying to think what I can do. Now I was 15. Now you look at 15-year-olds on the streets, they're kids. And I didn't look at life like that. It was me. I remember walking down this back alleyway and there was sort of a building site. This is a true story. It was my first ever night homeless. I climbed into the back of this building site and it was like a old sort of dump sort of thing. And there was a divan bed, a divan bed, the
Yeah.
box beds, the beds that are just like cardboard box type things on the bottom. Um, and I went into the back of the building site and I pulled the bottom of this open and I got underneath it and I put the box over me and I lied there for a few hours. And I used that there so people wouldn't see me lying there. And that was my first time ever being homeless, my first night ever, and I didn't really know what to do and where to go. Um,
Did you feel like, uh, did you feel like you were afraid of being like, it was almost like, oh my God, I can't, if people say I'm homeless, they're gonna either kick me out or move me away or stuff. So almost like you're scared of being seen when you're homeless. I mean, I know we don't see that because we see so many of it, but like when you're in that position, you're like terrified of being seen.
you don't want to be the victim. You
No.
don't want to be the person where people all are looking at you. Like I've had that all my life.
Yeah.
People always looked at me as the scruffy family, like the little nitty kid. And this was just the bottom of the barrel for me. This was the final straw where like you have nobody, you have nothing, and like what do you do? Like I was 15, didn't have a job, didn't have money, and like that was it. Um, and I just remember that day was sort of the day where I had to really grow up fast. Now, life wasn't easy from then. For 3 years, then I sort of had to make my way through life, staying in friends' houses. I was living in the Upper Corsa. The sort of saving grace I got was I found the internet cafes, the 24-hour internet cafes, and I would literally go sit in the back of the internet cafe and put my hand on my chin, and I would pretend I was on the computer and I'd be asleep, and I would do that, and I've done that for years, and nobody ever reached out. None of my family ever reached out. You know, my family sort of forgot I was even there. When I was writing the book and I was telling my aunties, like I have two aunties who are like my mum, my auntie Teresa and my auntie Linda, and they were like, I don't really remember what happened in your life between like the age of 15 and 18. I'm like, of course you don't. Nobody does. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because I was homeless, people forgot about me.
Yeah. And you were, you know, it weren't just homeless, you were alone
Yeah,
with that, you know. And that's why when you mentioned about being gaslit by your family, it is really easy for you to be happy and smiley. It's really easy. That's the easiest
yeah,
part. When you're going through the shittest time, the easiest part is to put the smile on your face. And that's the easiest part, is to pretend everything is fine and
yeah,
okay. So just because you had that doesn't take away the experiences that you had behind that.
yeah,
You know, and it is, I think you wrote in your book as well, where you mentioned because of the abuse that happened in the house from John and from your mum's boyfriends. Sometimes you've got to think, like you say, it's their way of actually feeling guilty about
yeah.
what they didn't do and what they didn't reach out to do.
Last week I had an email from my auntie Mary. Now I haven't spoken to my auntie Mary since my mum's funeral when I was 12.
Wow.
Now she's my oldest auntie, my mum's oldest sister. She adopted my brother. Um, when I don't know, he was my his name's Connor. She adopted him. She couldn't have kids, so my mum said, "Right, look, you can adopt Connor." Now it was a family thing. It was just within the family. She had him for a few months, and we came home one day, and he was outside the house in a buggy, just left there. You know, and then that's sort of how my family parted ways with Mary. So I find an email on contact Andy Lee XXX, that one. Um, Andy, it's your Auntie Mary. She's like, I'm just reaching out to contact you. I want to get in contact with you. And I was thinking, look, I don't hold that against any of my family. I'll reach out and I'll see if she can tell me more stuff about my childhood. So I reached out to her and I said, "Hi, Mary. It's lovely to hear from you." And I said, "Yeah, I'd love to be in contact. Let's have a chat." And she replied to me and she was like, "I've read a bit of your book,
Oh,
and I'm not gonna get in contact with you if you're gonna lie to me. You're a liar," like that type of thing. And I was took back, but not only took back, I was more angry that she called me a liar. So so instead of me firing back at her, I just replied, I said, okay, if you think I'm wrong, please do correct
yeah,
me. You know what I mean? Please correct me. This is my life experience from my eyes. But if you think something in my book is lie, so I put a lot of bullet points, and I said, do you think mum being beat up by John was a lie? Do you think us being hungry and homeless was a lie? Do you think where my teacher, a stranger, cried down the phone to me, everything he told me was a lie? I was like, you tell me what is a lie about my book? And she said, I was there when John beat her. I seen her black and blue, and she said she came over to me in the evenings, and we gave her some food and stuff like this. And so she did. She sort of agreed with me, but she I think she was being defensive on her part. Like she was like, "We done stuff," and I said to her, I replied back, and I said, "Look, I appreciate that you might have tried to help my mum. You probably did, but ultimately it wasn't enough."
correct.
And I said, you keep talking about all these things you did do, but where were you when all this stuff was happening? When we lived in a woman's refuge, where were you? You didn't have kids. You had a husband. You had a house. We were homeless. Where were you?
Yeah,
I have a sister. I would do anything for my sister. While I live on this earth, my sister will never be homeless. My sister has kids. They'll never be homeless and hungry, ever. So where were you? And I said, look, I don't blame you. I don't blame my family for the life I had. But don't tell me I'm a liar when I'm not.
yeah.
And then she sort of went off on me. She was just,
You know, and Andy, I think sometimes people's way of um avoiding the truth is by creating their own truth, and it was so clear that what she wanted to say to you was, I was the superhero here,
yeah.
I'm not the villain. That, you know, you hadn't even painted her out to be a villain. You were so open about saying she couldn't have kids,
Mm,
you know, and it made sense. And then even when you said she didn't realize how much hard work it would be to raise a child,
yeah.
you didn't say, oh, she just got bored and gave up the kid,
No.
but it's what she perceives it as.
Oh, there's more in the email. So she said, like, everything was about her. Everything was like, she was like, I tried my best. I went through my own struggles. I done this. I done this. And then she was saying about my brother. She was like, your mum took him back. Now I was there. She didn't take him back. Yeah, I don't know the whole situation of it as a child, but like we came back and he was left outside the house. You don't know how I felt. That made me feel so terrible. And I said, Mary, how do you think my mum felt?
Yeah.
Like having to give up our child in the first place, not being able to feed us, not being able to take care of us properly, and having other kids. How do you think she felt? Why is it always about you? But anyway, she just went on one, and she was like, you're not the kid I remember," and stuff. And she was like, "I was there for you when you were 4 years old." I'm like, "Mary, I'm 37. Where were you when I was homeless?"
Yeah.
You know. And then she said, "Oh, the um the authorities kept us from seeing yous," and I was like, "Yeah, but why? Why would
Yeah.
authorities keep you from
There's
seeing?"
more questions
Yeah.
then, isn't there? There's,
I was like, "Why answer?" And she's like, "I'll answer it to you in person." I was like, "Oh, piss off."
yeah, you can write it in book number 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I think that you handle everything that you go through with such a classiness as well. Reading that book, it's weird to say that because it sounds like an oxymoron, handling homelessness with classiness, but you handled it so well and so classy and respectfully of everyone around you. And I think that, when I read the book, I kept thinking to myself, like, this guy just needs a break. Like, that's all you needed.
Yeah.
You just needed a break. And I think that what I wasn't seeing the first time around I read it, I read it once because I wanted to, obviously, and I read it twice because of this interview. What I wasn't seeing the first time was the people around you that you expected to help you, even though you weren't running them down in the book, they weren't helping you. And I was like, well, they're not. They're not. When I read it the second time, I thought, hold up, how can I feel sorry for his auntie? How can I feel sorry
Mm.
for this person and this person? I can't. I just couldn't. And I know that's not what you wanted either. They want them. They want us to feel sorry for them, but I know that's not what you want. Um, but I also love the characters in it, and if you if this wasn't an autobiography, you'd kind of think this was a story because of the characters. We had Tintin in
Mm.
there. We had all of these characters in there that are from all different walks of life, all different, backgrounds. And it's kind of was like I was going, oh, I want to know more about this person. I want to know more about this person. And you get to live that because you get to have them in your bubble.
Yeah.
You get to have them in that. I want to then move on now from the shit parts,
Yeah.
the tough parts, because we know how now Andy's come about.
Yeah.
You've survived, is
Yeah.
the truth. Then we get into like kind of adulthood. I think every single person sitting here is waiting for me to say, Andy's got a massive penis. Right, okay, that's out now. Right, it's not out, but that's out now. I didn't want to touch it. Everything I say now is going to sound really like, but didn't want to go too deep onto that because I think there's more to you than just your penis.
Yeah.
Um, you've experienced something, and this is to all the haters and to all the trolls, and this is what really fucking blew me away. You have experienced something that absolutely 100% qualifies you to be representative of our community. As a straight man, you've experienced homophobia.
Yeah.
And when I read that in that book, I knew about fucking. First of all, I was ready to fight. I was ready to find this fucker.
It's so frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah, I was ready because it really fucking irritated me and it irritated my soul. But you've experienced that, and
Yeah.
so for any person that has ever experienced homophobia,
Yeah.
they will tell you how fucking demoralizing that is.
Yeah.
I'd rather get punched in the face. I'd rather get battered than experience the embarrassment and the shame of homophobia. So tell me about your experience of homophobia.
Oh, there's been a few times, but the one in my book
Yeah.
mainly is me being fired by my boss.
Yeah.
Um, I everything was finally starting to go good in my life. I got a job working for the council. I was the gas manager. I was a top engineer. Everything was really good. I was in a right place. I worked for the council. My plan was to move up in the council to project development. I wanted to build blocks of flats. That was my ultimate goal. I had a boss called Stuart, and Stuart, it was an office job. Me and Stuart sat across from each other, and we had the relationship where we would talk about women and we would talk about we're lads, you know.
Mhm.
Stuart is a bit older than me. Then COVID came. I got to work from home, and one day I get a phone call off Stuart, and he said, "Look, can you jump on a Zoom call?" And I was out with my friend Chris. I said, "Right, Chris, I'll bring Chris back with me." Now Chris didn't know anything about my past, so I go back to my house and I said, Chris, just sit there while I jump on this quick call. And I opened the laptop up and I could see Stuart's face. I knew something was wrong. And I said, oh, Stuart, is everything okay? And he said, not really. He said, this stuff has been brought to my attention. And it was the stuff I'd done in the past, 10 years ago. And I just said to him, I was like, I got defensive a little bit. And I was like, well, it has nothing got to do with you, you know? And then me and him had an argument back and forth. And I said, who's watching my porn from previous years ago and then going to you about it? And he said, it doesn't matter. All that matters is it's been brought to my attention and it's disgusting. And I said, look, we're getting nowhere with this. What do you want to come out of this conversation? And he said, I want you to resign. And I said, but I don't want to resign. I said, I love this job. And he said, I want you to resign today. And I was like, fuck's sake. So I called ACAS and I said to them, look, this is the situation. And they said, look, you have got grounds to stand on. They said, but you're not in the company long enough. And what's going to happen is you're going to be working for a company who doesn't want you there. So they're going to look for any excuse to get rid of you. So I said to Stuart, I called him back and I begged him. Now, I know it's embarrassing to say that, but I really wanted this job. So I said, look, Stuart, I can't take that stuff down off the internet. It's in the past. They own the content. It's not mine. I can't take it down. Look, I apologize for it. I'm sorry. It won't happen again. You know, this job is my life. And he was just like, it's disgusting. You know what I mean? He said, if I chair a hearing, you'll be gone. He said, so take resignation now. I'll give you garden leave. You'll get paid for 2 months and you're gone. And that was it. Didn't want me coming back to the office. I said to him, I said, so what is the problem?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I said, what is the problem with this? And he said, you're embarrassing. He said, what if because we work with local politicians and stuff. What if you go to a meeting and they recognize you? I'm like, well, they're obviously watching my porn. I didn't say that, but that's what I was thinking. You know, and he was just, and he was proper. He was saying to me, he said it more than once, like, disgusting. Now, me and him talked about girls in the office. We talked about women in general, and he thought I was a lad. But as soon as he found out about the gay stuff, he was like, "That's horrible. That's disgusting." You know.
Yeah.
And it is horrible for him to be like that.
Yeah. And I think that you mentioned it, didn't you? This would not be the case if you'd been out there doing straight porn.
Yeah.
There would be
He would
no.
have thought I was a legend.
Yeah, exactly. At that point, what I find really interesting, at that point, though, you hadn't done anything that had crossed the line
Nothing.
with another man, had you?
I jerked off beside the fella. That was it.
Exactly. Yeah. And
Before a gay audience.
yeah, exactly. And that's what it is. And the ignorance and the stupidity of somebody like that
Yeah.
to not understand. At the end of the day, your personal life is your personal life. I know that in professions there is an expectation, and that would cause damage in some professions. That was the kind of porn back then that you'd have to search for.
Yeah.
And so you're very much right.
It was before OnlyFans and everything. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It wasn't publicly out there. It was on
Yeah.
websites. Someone knew about it.
Yeah.
Someone saw me on that site and was like, look, I'm gonna give him
Yeah.
shit. I'm gonna go to
Yeah.
the boss and grass on him.
Yeah.
And that's what they did.
So I think that that's another reason I connected with you. You know, you being a victim. I mean, I'm a very different victim of homophobia because I believe in violence. So I mean, not all the time, but fight me. So I think that it's almost like, so for me as a gay man, and for other gay men, you know, we experience homophobia and we are expected to kind of just go, it's part and parcel of it.
Yeah.
And you've got your big butch straight men that think that it's okay because they can bully us. They will come across the wrong gay person
Yeah.
sometimes. But like with somebody like you, now here's where this becomes such a bugbear for me. I've watched you for 15 I've watched you for 15 years, mate. My hand's knackered. No, but I've watched you for 15 years and I've watched you grow, develop, and I've watched you go from in front of the camera to behind the camera, and I've watched you help a lot of people. And your heart has always been in the product and making this the best version that you can without trying to rip people off, without
Absolutely.
trying to exploit people, you know, without trying to do any of that. And so when you were then a victim of homophobia and you bite back, their first and automatic thing is, this straight man's picking on the gays. You'll never win. You'll never ever win. And it fucking drives me mad. Like, it drives me mad. You know, I don't care whether you're a straight man doing gay porn. I don't care whether you're a gay man doing straight porn. I don't care whether you're a straight man having gay sex behind your wife's back. I don't care.
Yeah.
What you choose to do, as long as it's not with kids and animals, what you choose to do is on you.
Yeah.
And you have no reason to explain to yourself. I see so many podcasts. I know it's almost a fetish for people, and it's like an absolute, like, they love it. They want to know. They can't understand it. It's not for them to understand. At the end of the day, you're doing something that is making you money, that is your morals are aligned to it, and that's that's absolutely fine. So I get a little bit irritated. There's me kicking off then, or somebody
Mm. Mhm.
but I just feel that people don't give you the credit that you deserve. This isn't an overnight sensation. You know, you were long before OnlyFans, and you know you're going to be long after OnlyFans. And I see the people you work with, and I see a change in their social media. They go from being these like almost little fuckboys, let's just
Yeah.
say, to these actually well presenting men who take what they do very seriously, and it's professional. And that is down to you. It's down to the Porn Star University. How did that come about for you?
So the Pornstar University, during lockdown and just after lockdown, I was renting hotels to film in all the time, and my garage at my house. And I knew I had to find somewhere that was a bit better for me to be a bit more creative. So I started looking for lockups and units and stuff. Like a small little room like this would have been perfect. So I
We're
could
not going to
just
do anything in this small little room, guys.
don't listen to him. We are definitely going to do something.
It's my payment now.
So I had to look at different places, and I went into this one big warehouse, and I was just like, "This is it." And it was an old rundown warehouse, rubble everywhere. It was just, like dilapidated, and I said, "I can work with this." So I took that warehouse, and everything was great. Wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I just knew I had this warehouse, and this is what I wanted to do. Now, during this time, people have kept asking me for like advice. What can I do? How can I join the adult industry and stuff? And I always wanted to guide people the correct way with all the mistakes I made, how to do it properly. And it sort of just developed like that. It wasn't really anything more. Like I filmed a few lads one day, and then we set up a WhatsApp group, and then I just kept adding people to the WhatsApp group, and I said, look, we'll keep going, and we'll help each other, and we'll guide each other. And then it just kept growing and growing and growing. And then one day I said, look, I'm going to turn this into an actual thing. Let's build this place for us, just for us to use. So I renovated this whole big studio and built different sets, and the Porn State University was formed, and it's where people can come totally free. I don't charge anybody anything. I never have.
Can you just repeat that, please? Because this is another thing that I read in your book. This is why I don't believe you're exploiting people. You're not charging people
No,
at all.
I've never, like, literally never charged anything. We, I, it's just my time. Now, the studio, I pay for everything in the studio, all the costumes, all the props. Even when all the guys come down, I pay for food and stuff like that, and I don't expect that back. It's my way of, I'm in a really good position now. Like where I am at life, I'm really in a really good position, and it's my way of helping those people who need a bit of guidance right now. Now, maybe in 5 years' time, I might need guidance, and those guys can help me back. But right now, everything's good. So if we help each other out and it passes down the chain, we have this big community of people who are there to help each other out. Why not? You know, and that's where it goes. You know, we had our first I don't want to call them, I don't call people fans, supporter. We had our first supporter come to the studio the other day. Now, I keep everybody, the public doesn't come to the studio.
Oh, right.
It's a private place for us creators to go there and be safe. Nobody knows where it
course.
is. It's just just how it is. Now, this guy's name is John. It was his 60th birthday the other day. John, during lockdown, when I got fired out of my job, I suffered depression for the first time in my life. Now, I said in an article before that gay people saved my life. And it was people like John. I would wake up every day unhappy. I didn't know why I was unhappy. I just knew I had no job. Everything was crap in my life. I blamed the world. People like John was there on my Twitter, in my inbox, like, mate, don't be upset. You're great, you know. And he was just positive things every single day, and lifted me up. Honestly, it lifted me up, and it changed my life overnight, and how I perceive the world and how I am with other people. I share positivity to everybody, and hopefully they will pass it on, and it will just keep going. Now, John messaged me uh, about a month ago, and he said, look, it's my 60th birthday in August. I'd love to meet some of the lads. And I said, John, leave it with me. So the other day, we had a birthday party at the studio for John. So a lot of the lads came down, and we got my cake, and we got birthday hats and candles and all that stuff. And we had an absolutely great day. So we filmed it and all that. We're going to post it on the internet for people to watch. But what a special person. He's such a great guy. And like, he's a little old guy on a walking stick, and he had the best day ever. You know what I mean? We had such a good day. But it's just those lads all came. They traveled from all over the UK, but they all came down to support John. Like, we didn't get nothing out of it. It was just a fun day for all of us. Just have a great day. But that's the type of guys they are, you know. And I always say these lads in this lads group and at the Pornstar University, these are my family. These are the people I see and speak to every single day, and I watch them grow. They come to me and they say, look, Andy, things is not really going very well at the moment. Like, I need to earn some more money, and we go through the stages, and then I watch them, like, over the next few months. I watch them accelerate. and they take it serious,
Yeah.
and they become stars.
I do, and I do. I've seen some of them. I remember, so I was there at the very beginning of Jay's career, for example,
Yeah.
and I did the podcast with him. And I look at him now, and he's doing great stuff. He's doing
Mhm.
brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
And you're not going to like this, what I'm about to say, but it is down to you. You know, it is you because you are this person that, you know. I don't know how good you are at taking compliments. That's
No,
why.
I just give them advice. I always tell
See,
them
don't
but
right.
it's down
Stop
on them.
fighting it. Stop fighting it. Right? They'll all say the same thing. It's down to you because you're putting in that time. You're putting in that effort. So are they. Of course they are, but they wouldn't be where they are without the guidance of you. So in the gay community, I'm sure you're aware. We have with drag queens, we have drag mothers. Same way, I'm not a drag queen.
I love drag queens.
Um,
They're my favorite part of the LGBT community.
yes,
I love a drag. I always said I was a drag in a previous life. I know it.
you definitely were.
Yeah.
But they have drag mothers, so they have that drag mother who is an experienced drag queen that will come along, put them in makeup for the first time, put them in a wig.
Oh,
I believe you're the porn father
I'm
to these
I like
porn
that.
stars.
Porn
Yeah,
father.
you
I'm
absolutely
the porn
are.
daddy.
You're the fucking hell. You're the porn father to these
Yeah.
youngsters, not youngsters, but these up and
These
coming.
lads, yeah.
They have someone to rely on. I've seen footage of you where you're not naked. So I've seen footage of you at Pride events and at events, and I will tell you this now: it fills my heart when I see how happy you and these people that you talk to are. You know, you're so courteous, you're so kind, you're so polite. It's not you're not going there for a laugh, as in to take the piss out of people.
Absolutely.
You are going there to thank them because, as you say, they're such a huge part of your life and they saved your life. And I see that so much. And these gay baiting comments and these clickbait comments bore the shit out of me because I know there are some gay baiters out there. I'm not going to name it names, but there are.
People can comment. I'm here for it. Like,
Yeah,
I know who I am, and don't get me wrong. I do wind them back up. You
Of
know, I
course.
do, and I get the gay baiting comments. I get all these comments. You're bisexual. You're this. You're that, and I understand it. If you don't know, you don't know. If you don't put the effort into knowing somebody, you're only gonna fire out what comes out. And a lot of the time, like on Twitter or something, if I see someone will fire at me and I'm sitting there bored one evening, I'm like, I'm gonna have fun with this, you know?
Yeah.
And I will sit there for hours, firing back and forward. And I break them down. I don't be like, no, I'm not. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, tell me.
Yeah.
Tell me how I'm a gay baiter. Tell me what you think a gay baiter is. For me, a gay baiter is someone who pretends to do something, dangles the carrot in front of someone, they pay to watch it, and then they don't get what they've paid for.
Oh, I'd love to name some names
No.
right now. Oh
But
God.
like, even that, like, I'm not a type of person I am. I'm not like that. Let them, if they're successful at that, that's their business. If people want to watch them and all, that's absolutely none of my business. What I do is those people who subscribe to watch my content are happy. That makes me happy. And if people come and enjoy my content, and I've been doing it for 15 years now, I'm doing something right. And this is what I tell all the lads when they come to me: if you do it my way, it will work.
Yeah.
You know, and my way is make good content that people want to watch. It's as simple as that. It's not rocket science.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Ask your audience, what do they want to watch? And as long as you're comfortable making it, make it. But make it clear about like when I post a video, I give a full detailed description of my
You
video.
do, don't you? You
Yeah.
get down to like it's filmed in a secure location.
Yeah.
Like, you give it all. Like,
Because you have
fair
to,
play.
and then there's no bait, there's no hidden anything. So people don't sign up to my page and get nothing, and then you have to pay for everything. It's nothing like that. Everything's on my wall. Go and enjoy it. You know. So.
It is. Which is, we'll just touch really briefly on that. So when I say that you don't need to explain anything to anyone, I tell you why. And this is kind of why I think I've always related to you in a way. I don't watch gay porn. I only watch straight porn. I'm a fully homosexual man. But the only gay porn I watch is like just a man. But I watch straight porn. That's it. Like, if you went through my search engine now, it would be like squirters and stuff. Right? It would be that. But then people are like, well, are you not bisexual? Why? What? No, I'm not. I know what I enjoy and I know what I'm watching. It doesn't mean in my real life I'm going to go and have sex with a woman. What it means is, like, I find that quite sexy. That's it. Turn on, bye,
Yeah.
end of. It's a book closed. Like, that's the same for you, I guess. It's work. You get up, you go to work. I don't want you to explain any more on it because I feel like it's beating a dead horse. If people don't get it now about you, Andy, do you think they're ever going to get it?
It's just entertainment.
Yeah.
It's the same as making a movie that people watch, like James Bond or whatever like that. An audience want to watch something, so I'm going to cater for that audience.
Yeah.
You know, and I go, and yes, I can do things that other people can't. I get hard for the opposite sex. That's because I'm comfortably, mentally and physically, and that is it. There's not more to it. You know?
Absolutely.
And I get paid shitloads of money.
He does. And there was, do you know what, as well? Fuck it. People always tell me I'm a little bit kind of when I talk about money, but I don't give a fuck. So there was a part in your book, and it really made me, honestly, I was cheering. So weird. I go through this book for all these emotions, like in bed on my own. But there was a part in your book where you were like, when you're talking about flying, when you occasionally fly first
My
class,
first time, it was
right?
amazing.
And there's these parts, and it made me so happy because I didn't see it as vulgar, I didn't see it as bragging. I saw it from the very beginning of the book to what it means to you now. You don't do it all the time, you don't need to.
Yeah.
But I think that you get into that place, it made me so happy. Like,
Mm.
honestly, I know it's so benign in the grand scheme of things, but it made me so happy for you. I was buzzing. And I love that. I love that you're so successful now, doing something you enjoy doing something that is helping everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, people go, it's just porn, it's not that deep. You're right, it's not that deep. Well, it depends if Andy's doing it.
Mm.
But it's not that deep. But what it is you're helping people, you're doing something, and you know what? You're not hurting anybody.
Absolutely.
So you've been in front of the camera a lot, you're behind the camera a lot. What is next? We'll round it up by going, what's next for Andy Lee?
Oh, I'm gonna continue doing what I do. I love it. Absolutely love it.
God.
I'm gonna do some TV shows. I just finished one. I can't talk about it.
Okay.
It'll be out mid-October, so you'll see me on reality TV for the first
Okay.
time ever. So that should be interesting. I really want people to know the real side of me. Like that was the idea of the book, was to let people know that I am a human. You know, like that I have lived and I'm gonna continue to live. And my goal in life is to get people talking. I really want straight people to understand a bit more about the gay community, about the trans community, about other people in general, people who may not be normal. Talk to them, because there's so much. My first experience at Gay Man, I didn't know anything, and people think I'm nuts. You know, I genuinely didn't know anything, and there is people out there that don't know anything about the gay community, and I think if they speak more, they'll understand a lot more. There's a lot more to people than just being gay or being straight or anything like that. And that's the same with everything. Like I spoke to a trans man lately who I met, and it taught me, like he literally taught me so much about me and him and life itself. So I think talking is definitely the way forward. I want people just get talking. And the adult industry, we're not dirty. You know what I mean? Like
Wow.
we're not
I've seen
animals.
some of his videos.
we are filthy animals.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with the sex industry. You know what I mean? We all should be able to talk about it. And in relationships, people should explore more. You know, if you're in a relationship and your partner says to you, like, I think I have a foot fetish, like, at least talk to them about it. You know, or if you're holding something that you want to try, speak about it. It might change your whole relationship. And that's my ultimate goal now, to get people talking. That's all. I'll leave it at that. I'm talking too much.
No, it's fascinating. It is a fascinating. You are a fascinating human being. You're one of the kindest, nicest souls I think I've ever met.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And your book. Can you just grab your book? Hold it
This is
up.
my book.
Yeah, this is which one's your camera? This one's your camera. Yeah.
You know, smelly kid.
And
That's me. That's me also with no teeth.
Beautiful teeth now. But yeah, so go out and buy this book. I
Yeah.
think it's so important that we see the real side of you. And
Please.
any fans out there that are fans of you need to be buying this book to really be able
Please
to
just
see
read it. I'm not interested in the money. Honestly, I'm not. If you're struck, I'll give you a book. You know, please read my story. Just get to know me, especially you trolls. Get to know
Yes.
me before you comment. I am a normal person, like a little bit different. You know, ADHD and all that. You know, I'm a bit mental, but who's not? Yeah, get to know me a bit more. I'd appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know,
Where can we find you?
So on Instagram, do it like Andy with underscores in between, and on Twitter or X now, AndyLeeXXX.
Oh God.
Be prepared.
Yeah, be prepared. I told somebody recently and they were like, holy shit. And I was, oh, sorry, I should have said.
And on TikTok, it's AndyLeeX.
Yeah.
Please.
Thank you so much for
No,
being here.
no,
I
thank you.
really appreciate it.
Honestly, I do appreciate it, and I
and
appreciate you reading my book.
You,
Take
well,
it.
mate, you're going to sign it for me.
I'll absolutely sign
Good, fantastic.
it. With my dick.
He won't. The book's not big enough. But for everyone else watching, thank you so much. Like, comment, subscribe,
Please
all
do.
that shit. Be nice in the comments. If not,
Share these clips everywhere.
Yeah.
I will. I'll share them everywhere.
so he's doing work for me. Told you to go to be my bitch. Right. Thank you so much, guys.